Now, why psychological benefits? Well, any inversion pose helps the physiology to be kind of like increased in a reverse direction to the norm. In other words, gravity is now pulling from the other direction of the body. I think it helps to slightly still the mind based around habits of perceiving the world in the usual way. And what is the usual way? The usual way of, let's go to the self. So if we talk about the self, the way I perceive myself as being separate from you, from the world, from nature. This is the usual way that we orient to be able to practically manipulate the environment. But when we start to perceive another being as having this trait, that trait, being good, being bad, and so on and so forth, this is actually, at the gross level, it might be appropriate, but at the subtle level, it's never appropriate. It's always going to be a projection based from one's own tendencies and impressions and projected out on another person, always. And so the self supports the self, and the illusion of the self just goes round and round and round. Whereas, let's put it into context. If there's a group of people, this is a collective self. Everybody has the same sort of beliefs, impressions circulating around, each supporting each other. Talking about, let's say, one individual. This one individual, the collective group are saying is bad, has done this, has done the other. Their behaviours don't fit into our particular way of, acting and perceiving the world. And so this particular person either gets ostracised, or they just become a loner, a bit like a badger sort of set out from the set. But perhaps this person is more interested with investigating the self rather than projecting the self. And so if they internalize and notice that things get subtler and subtler and subtler, then this negating of the projection, not negating, this absence of the projection, enables an energy to be resourced. It's no longer dissipated through the images and the projective tendencies. So this person, this individual that's been ostracized by a group, will be reclaiming the contact with the subtlety. And when this person relates with the world, then there will be a particular quality that radiates from this person. They haven't actually involuted into this place of, I'm worthless, or I am what these people are projecting on me. There'll be a sense of true self source, resource. You could say that that's no self, or everythingness self. Whichever way you perceive it, it's no longer a self born from projection, no longer born from trying to substantiate one's own tendencies and reactions in order to support this, well, delusion actually. And so that person, both at a proximity based level to other people, will be radiating something new, a freshness, but also to the distance. So maybe the people who were originally projecting, or possibly, well, very, very likely still projecting, these people also gain benefit from that person not reacting to their projection. So in other words, if this person has become much more subtle in their nature, there will be a ripple effect, a radiation, even at a distance. And we're not just talking distance as in, just, the other side of the country. We're talking ultimate distance, whatever that means. No longer limited by bounds of space or even time. And so this helps if the group were then to actually practice in this way, the group that were originally ostracizing this person were to practice in this way, to all become responsible for themselves, to feel the subtlety that they truly are, then the projections will no longer be possible. It will only be a true assertion based on any reality that is there, like the hand being in front of the face. No longer the mind will play with these distortions or judgments, or these substantiations based upon one's own narrative. This is very useful. Is responsibility, and responsibility based upon something that's actually very tangibly real. No longer looking into the theory book, some materialist perspective or idealist perspective or philosophical perspective of how the world is. Now we've just got an actual felt sense of the subtle interchange that takes place both at the physiologic level, the psychological level, and the relationship level. This affects the world, and it's very, very useful in this particular age where we've become so internet media orientated. Facebook this, FaceTime that, and whatever other mediums there are. Then it's a very good antidote. We can talk about, being selfish. What does that mean? If it's the selfish that involves internalizing and being able to see that actually at the ultimate level there is no self, or if you were to say there's a self, there's an I amness, which is everythingness, then that will have a radiation effect that helps to dissipate the delusion that's based upon either reaction or projection. Again, very, very useful, massively useful. And the responsibility that comes in is each individual, rather than actually saying that another individual should act in a particular way or do this or do that. Knowing that there's a satisfactoriness that comes about from feeling that subtle interchange, that deep level, physiologically, psychologically, if you want to call it spiritually, I guess. I find that a very hard word to actually put into any real definable understanding, because it is vague, because so few people investigate in this way. I feel personally that if more and more people did, the less reaction, projection, justification based around narrative would take place.